Everyone, this is One Spitting here. So I just saw the video by Malorian where he said that he is leaving Warhammer Fantasy to play Warmahordes, and I feel like I've just been hit with a shovel in the face, a Canadian shovel. Wow, what a surprise! I wanted to real briefly uh, pay my tribute to Malorian and express how much I'm going to miss him. It's funny because when I first got into fantasy, he said in his video that he was just plinking away on warseer.com and then saw my channel. Well, I was on warseer.com, and here's this dude that with like 1 million posts. Like, what did you do for life besides post on Warseer? But even back then, Malorian was very obviously a tactician. But he was also really into the fluff and the hobby. His battle reports sometimes were very tactical, and sometimes he would do these written battle reports that had very humorous storylines in it, and just really got into it. And so when I heard that he was going to start a YouTube channel, I was glad to see it, and he's been successful, and I'm glad to see that he was successful. Um, and when he does more than just post battle reports, his orc tactical teams, his paint episodes, he's really kind of broken a lot of new ground. And I wanted to point out, and I hope everyone appreciates how much work he's put in to building the community. Um, he didn't just run his channel. I mean, he created the Google Plus page for Warhammer YouTubers, which has really went a long way towards encouraging people to get into this thing of posting the battle reports. Um, that's pretty unselfish. He did a lot of shepherding of new people into this aspect of the hobby. And then, of course, he's just a super nice guy. Uh, some things I'll always remember about him. It was only a few years ago, but technology's changed so much already. But there was a time when Malorian and I had met on Warseer and we wanted to play each other, but he's in Canada and I'm in North Carolina. So we set up this system to where he would set up the table at his house and would set up all the models there and would take pictures and upload the pictures onto some kind of photo hosting site. And so then he would send me an email like, okay, my turn's done. And I would go on that site and I would look at all the pictures and then email him exactly what I would do. I mean, it was just crazy how tedious and cumbersome it was. And I could be wrong, but I think we just said let the game take all weekend. You just do your part, send it along, and walk away and come back to it later. And they were really fun, some real tactical games. Of course, he came to North Carolina, stayed with me a couple times while he attended Brawler Bash, and that was just a lot of fun. Just you get a sense of him through his channel. He's just a super nice guy. I will say that obviously um, my relative inactivity on my channel is for very different reasons than what he's talking about. I'm not being drawn by the mistress of another game. I've just got other interests in general, and quite frankly, if I'm going to play here, usually it needs to be Tuesday night, and Tuesday night I'm doing other things, and so I found I just haven't cared as much. But I can tell you the one thing that's really kept me tethered to the Warhammer game is the community, the local gaming groups that I'm in, the people I've met who've introduced themselves to me because of the channel, and people like Malorian that I've met and communicate mostly with through YouTube and other electronic mediums. So that sense of community for me is really hard to walk away from. And but I think he's going to keep connected with that somewhat with his paint episodes and stuff. So one thing I would totally agree with is, when 8th edition I think has been a fun edition for me. 7th edition was a lot of fun. There towards the end, it started losing its fun for me because it got so unbalanced. And it still makes me angry that Games Workshop would let a game get so unbalanced. We're just, if you had one of 3, maybe 4 army books, you could build lists that were just really overpowered compared to other ones. So 8th edition came out, and it was just so many changes. I actually really liked it. But I've noticed over time that it has become a less strategic game, especially in terms of movement. And that was always what I found so fun about it. So I can appreciate that I have fewer and fewer games now that when the game is over, I just feel this high, like, oh my gosh, that was so fun. I can tell you that I can have fun losing a game. I don't have to win to have fun. But when I lose a game and I feel like it was just because the game is flawed and somebody just saw that flaw and took advantage of it, that's not fun. I don't say how it's fun for them to win like that. It's not fun to lose like that. And I try to balance that with reminding myself that there are lists I build that I think are fun that other people might perceive that same way. So I'm not blaming any people per se as much as a game that allows that to happen. I've always been curious about Games Workshop's silence towards me and other people like Malorian and others. I mean, I don't expect them to run around everybody who plays their game and solicit feedback, but I would think we're fairly well known amongst people who play Warhammer Fantasy, and never once have they ever reached out and said, "Hey, by the way, what do you think of the game? What's important to you? What could we do better?" And I've heard they've done that a little bit with some people over in the UK, and I'm glad to hear that they have. But I've always wondered about that. So I'm hoping Games Workshop watches Malorian's video and appreciates what they're missing. It's not him and the models he buys. There are a lot of sales that Games Workshop is not going to have because Malorian is no longer in the hobby, and that's a shame. Personally, I will miss him. I'm selfishly hoping that he will come back to the hobby, assuming that I'm still in the hobby. I plan to be, but you never know. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. Malorian, I'm going to miss you in the hobby, and best of luck with all you do.